I'm going to show you how to take your photograph and make sure it looks a lot like your eye rather than just a generic eye. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to basically create the eyeball, which is a circle within the eye. I want to make sure it's big enough, so I want to take up about this much space on my paper. And that's where my eyelid will come over and my bottom lid will come over. And then my sclera, which is the white part of the eye, will be in the middle with the iris, which is the color part of the eye, will be within that. So after you do a pretty large circle, it's about the size of my hand. If you have smaller hands, you can keep that in mind, or if you have bigger hands, keep that in mind too. And then I look at the direction of the tear duct. Is the tear duct tilted up? Is it tilted down? Is it straight across? How wide is the tear duct? How sharp is it? So away from this circle just a little bit, my tear duct kind of curves down a little bit. So it's like a U, but I'm really looking closely at my specific U rather than just doing a generic quick U. Over here is more of a V. And then I also look how far up it is. So the bottom of my U and the bottom of the V right here is quite a bit of difference. So my V is going to be a lot further up. Okay. And then we connect the two together. Now, the bottom of this circle is the bottom of this lid right here. So you're not going to go all the way down. So you want to connect them in a way, and you want to look back and forth constantly. And I'll bring this one up. Okay, now I'm going to do the waterline. The waterline's pretty thick. Okay, as I'm doing this, I'm realizing it's not taking up the whole paper. Okay, so if that's the case, I want you to stop what you're doing, and I want you to start again on the other side. Okay, so again, this time I'm going to make my U a little bit bigger. My circles end up being a little bit bigger too. And then I really want my eye to end a little bit further over, so I'm using as much space as I can. Because the worst thing that you can do is make it too small, because then you're going to really be kicking yourself, wishing you had done it bigger, because it's really hard to get those details in when it's too small. Then you're going to have all this extra space that doesn't really have a lot going on because it's kind of plain. Okay, so now I'm going to do my waterline, and this is significantly bigger than that. So sometimes, you just need to get started and then realize that you need to pause and start again. So kind of the upper waterline, and then this waterline, I'm going to extend it on the outside of that, just so that it does make the eye a little bit bigger. Okay. Then I look at my tear duct. So this is the part where there's a little tiny hole right here, and that's where it cries, and then it rests along this water line. Okay. Something else that's going to make this eye look like your eye and not somebody else's is how you do your eyelids. So say I have an eye, I'm just going to draw something really quickly here. Okay, depending on who you are, your eye might have an eyelid that sort of rests along your lashes, like that. You see this a lot. Again, this is a stereotype, but in art sometimes we have to make stereotypes because we have to learn facial features. So a lot of heritage that's Asian or even Hispanic, a lot of times has these eyelids that rest along the surface like this. Whereas, you know, your eyebrow would be up here, and then the way that you would end up shading it is something like this. And eyelashes might come up and over that lid, or they might be underneath, kind of straight or going down. Okay. There's also eyelids that have peaks in the middle, like that, like a really deep peak. If you look at my eyelid, the peak of the eyelid is over here, and then it kind of flattens out, and then I've got a little bit more kind of another peak that kind of comes in over here. So you want to pay attention to your eyelid peaks and sort of where they rest along your eyelid. Yeah, so let's look at mine again here. So this is the bottom lid. So the peak of mine will be about right here, and then it kind of flattens out a little bit more, and then it has a little bit more right there. So when I do this, I pay attention to where it starts, which is just in line with the tear duct. And this is really gonna make it look like your eye versus somebody else's eye. So you can see there's more space here than there is over here. And then same thing with the distance between your lid and your eyebrow. Okay, there's a large difference here. Again, this is stereotyping. But, so let's say, here's an eye. Okay. Maybe here's a lid. Eyebrows for males are often, again, this is a stereotype, so warning, I'm making a stereotype or a generalization, are a lot flatter and wider. Eyebrows go past your eye. So a lot of times we make these little tiny eyebrows like this, and they look like a little caterpillar. No, they go past your tear duct, and they go past that V part of your eye. Mine probably ends right around here. Okay, so males are gonna be a lot thicker, a little bit more ungroomed. Again, this is a stereotype because of course there are males that have nice arches and stuff like that. And then pay attention to the length and direction of the eyebrow. So like if I'm drawing a male eyebrow, it might be a little bit more tangled, it gives it a little bit more masculine feel, and then towards the end, there's a lot longer hairs, and it kind of fans out. Now a female might have more of an arch. Again, this is a stereotype. I'm sorry that I have to make these stereotypes, but that's just how it is with art. So if you want like a more feminine look, you want to make it a little bit wider here, and then it can be a little less wide here. So you can see that there's more space above the V than there is above the tear duct. And depending on whether you paint your eyelashes or your eyebrows in or not, that's going to affect the look of your eyebrow too. When you paint it, you want to paint right over your eyebrow, and then you'll go and do the hairs later on at that very end. That's the same step as the eyelashes, which is the last thing. Okay, so when I go to design my eyebrow, for this, all I'm going to do is a really simple contour. Okay, I can practice right now some like directional stuff, some length stuff. I'm sure there's other YouTube videos where you could look at how to draw an eyebrow if that is something that would help you. But when I go to transfer this, I don't transfer all the little tiny hairs. I just transfer the general contour, okay? Next we've got, sorry, I've got a student that's trying to get in my room outside, but I'm in the middle of a video. I'm not going to redo it. So next we've got eyelashes. So eyelashes, I can stereotype right now. If I'm going to do like a man's lashes or male lashes, again, this is a stereotype, but oftentimes they end right at the eyelid crease or just above it, and sometimes just below it. So they just generally or stereotypically do not have as long eyelashes as women do. But again, that's a generalization, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, but teaching about facial features, you kind of have to make those generalizations. Okay. Versus you might have an eye that has eyelashes that sort of, let's make this eyelid here, go down, but maybe here they curl back up again. And really I'm just doing little check marks. That's pretty much all it is. Okay, it's kind of like you put it down and then you kind of flick it up, okay? Or you might have eyelashes that are sort of going down the whole way, and then they switch directions and go down that way. So you want to make sure that on this side they're curling that way. In the middle it's kind of like a little triangle thing going on, and then on that side they curl the other direction, so they switch directions. On the bottom lashes, so here's my waterline, okay, make them really scarce. Okay, you don't want a whole lot going on down there, or else it's gonna look like a spider sort of thing, and it'll look kind of weird. All right, so again, just like really small amount on the bottom. So if I go in to do my lashes, I guess I should draw my iris in first. And I want to draw those little reflections. I would take my time, but I'm just doing this for demo purposes. Okay, so if you notice, within this waterline, I have like a double layer of lashes. I have some on the top and some like right resting on top in the waterline. So the way that I do lashes, they go curl under first, and then they come out, okay? So again, they curl under and then out. So you want to really pay attention to the direction and then be loose. Like, where's this going to go? And then make your mark. Okay, towards the middle, that's when we have this sort of multi-directional, almost like triangles, before it switches directions completely. And notice how a more feminine, or especially if you wear mascara, your lashes are going to be a little bit longer. So if you are a girl, again, if this is a stereotype, your eyelashes will go significantly above your eyelid crease. However, this isn't true for everyone. Of course, there's some that are shorter, or some that just meet it. I got that rogue one coming up there. Then I have a couple that kind of dip under like that. Okay, and then over here's my waterline, right? I don't want to do too much. I don't want too much going on. Again, you need to pay attention to the length. So I've got some really long lower lashes, but you might have shorter lashes than I do. And you don't want to do too many, or else it's going to look a little strange. Okay? So that is how you sort of really look closely to determine what your eye looks like. Even inside here, you're gonna have, here's the middle where it's, you know, really dark and shaded in. But your eye has radial balance, which means that everything radiates from the central point, the pupil. So all these little marks come out from here. And then a lot of times your color radiates out too, but then you might have these little stripes and stuff. Or maybe you have little freckles in your eye. So you really want to capture all the little details. I have a reflection of my eyelashes in here, so I would draw that in. Again, I would take my time, but because this is a video, I'm trying to keep it short and sweet. Notice along the outside of your eyes is usually a lot darker than the inside. You want to make sure that the sketches that you do are really clean so that when you go to transfer them to your watercolor paper, which is this thicker paper that has a little bit of texture on it, that you know which line to actually trace. So I would go in and be like, okay, which lines am I really using? I gotta clean these up so that I know which ones to trace and which ones to leave out, okay? So you wanna make sure you do that for yourself. And then, again, you'll not transfer your eyelashes or your eyebrow hairs onto here. You can transfer them after you've painted, or you can leave them out completely and then just paint them in using your drawing to help as a reference. Okay, and I don't know, maybe you want to draw in some little veins and stuff. Okay, it's up to you. But that is my little eye drawing demo to make sure that you are making sure it looks like your eye and not somebody else's eye.